Morning, everybody. I'm Marky Martin. Thanks for waking up with us, as always. Let's begin in the Middle East right now with this new threat from Iran this morning. The regime is now hinting that it will not end its fight until President Trump is out of office. At the center of it all is control over the Strait of Hormuz. President Trump is making it clear that it is open and it's under U.S. control. However, traffic through the strait is at a 3-month low as oil stockpiles rapidly diminish. News Nation Washington correspondent Corey Smith is live at the White House for us. So, Corey, walk us through the reality of this moment as this now turns into a war of attrition.
Yeah, Marky, the president is turning his focus on economic warfare, leaning on crippling sanctions and a U.S. naval blockade to force Iranians to the table in hopes of reopening the strait, part of his low-key approach to this conflict. But the question remains, will the administration get what it wants in return? Here's the president in his own words late yesterday, quote, "The USA has total control over the Strait of Hormuz. I think we will keep it. Our naval blockade is being called by everyone a wall of steel, and there's nothing Iran can do about it." Now, Iran's response, coming via the Persian Gulf Strait Authority, says claims in repeated posts by U.S. officials that the Strait of Hormuz is no longer blocked do not change the reality. The Strait of Hormuz remains blocked and will not be reopened until Iran's conditions are accepted. Now, another factor to consider here, Marky, in this back and forth, a top advisor to the commander of Iran's Revolutionary Guard says Tehran could prolong this war until President Trump is out of office, which would take us to, I guess 2029 when you have an inauguration day in January.
Yeah, another, 2.5 years at this point. So, Corey, what does the economic reality actually look like for Iran at this point in the game, and also the ripple effect it has on the rest of the world, including us here at home?
Yeah, the White House believes Iran's economy is severely damaged with rising inflation, reduced energy revenues, and an uptick in poverty, plus limited access to foreign currencies. The naval blockade has produced results, according to the White House. Our partners at TheHill.com report a Pentagon assessment found the first U.S. blockade that took place between April and June cost Iran about $4.8 billion in oil revenue. Now, for the rest of the world, what does that mean? Well, shipping traffic through the Hormuz Strait is about 90% lower than the daily average of 130 ships that transited the strait before the initial strikes began back in February. That, of course, puts a pinch on oil reserves around the world and raises gas prices here for us. So really, regardless of which side controls the strait, oil prices are growing up. Brent crude up 10.5% since Monday, closing at about $88.98 a barrel Wednesday. West Texas Intermediate, where the U.S. gets nearly all of its gasoline, is up about 5.7% as of Wednesday. So we are certainly feeling the economic pinch, as you said, Marky, this war of attrition continues.
Yeah, certainly. Corey, live at the White House for us. Thank you. For more, let me now bring in retired Navy Rear Admiral Andrew Loisel. Admiral, always a privilege to have you, sir. Man, do we have a lot to unpack here. So Iran says there's no progress on reviving a deal with the U.S. and that they could prolong this war until Trump leaves office. So where does the president take things from here?
So first off, on Iran's position, they've come up with some rather extraordinary requests when you're talking about, reimbursement for the damage that's been done in the war. It's very clear that their negotiating position indicates that they think they've won. And they think they've won because their sole metric of winning or losing is whether or not they're still in power. They really don't care about what's going on with their people or the infrastructure in their country or inflation or anything like that. They just care if they're in power. So by that metric, they think they're winning, and they're negotiating like that. So the president now, asserts total control over the Strait of Hormuz. I don't believe that that is true. We have the option of doing that should we choose to do that. However, it would probably require more force than we have in the region right now. And some of the forces that we've had in the region have been there for an exceedingly long time.
Yeah. Does that mean boots on the ground? When you say, more presence than we have now, would that eventually mean boots on the ground there?
No, I'm talking about enough aircraft to be able to monitor the Strait of Hormuz, to be able to suppress the threat along the coast of Iran, and then to be able to take out any small boats that come, and to be able to knock down any drones that are sent to attack shipping. And if we chose to do that, then we could assert that we had total control over the Strait of Hormuz. Now, controlling the Strait of Hormuz and an effective blockade are two very different topics. I absolutely believe we have an effective blockade against Iran and that we are causing extreme economic damage to the country, and that the longer we play this game, the more economic damage is going to be done to Iran, and it increases our leverage. However, Iran is making the play that the midterms are going to affect our behavior and give them additional negotiating leverage. Time is on our side. The question is, do we have enough time to be able to affect the desired outcome?
Yeah. Speaking of time, and you mentioned just how long our troops have been out there at sea and across the region, Senator Richard Blumenthal is demanding answers from the Pentagon over conditions on the USS Abraham Lincoln. The situation on board is reportedly so bad that multiple sailors have tried to jump overboard after more than 250 days at sea. I mean, you've commanded a carrier strike group. You're the former director of air warfare. How concerned are you about what you're hearing about what's happening on board the Lincoln, sir?
I am concerned. Anytime there are morale issues on board a ship, then, they can tend to be very difficult to manage. And the Lincoln has been underway for an exceedingly long time without a port call. And so the main concerns are making sure that they've got adequate supply, adequate contact with home, which they have substantially better contact these days via internet access for all of the troops to be able to be in contact with their family. The question is, how long is that internet access able to be granted in order to ensure that the ship's position is not being given away? So there are natural tensions that come here, but there is only so long you can keep a ship at sea without pulling it into port and giving the crew a little bit of rest and relaxation time.
Yeah.
And then there's only so long you can keep the ship out at sea. And the longer you keep it past its planned deployment date, you build up a maintenance deficit that then affects your next ability to deploy that ship. And we've had a trend in the Navy of increasing the length of some of our ships. We have, half the ships that we had during the Reagan era buildup, but we still provide the same or more number of days at sea with half the ships. And that puts a toll on the people and the hardware.
Yeah, and we thank them for what they're doing every day, but I imagine living in that uncertainty is arduous, more days than not. Retired Rear Admiral Andrew Loisel, thank you for being with me this morning. Thank you for your expertise, sir. I always appreciate having you on the show.
Thanks, Marky.
Now to this.